First, we need to make the bias tape. Have the ruler on a diagonal on your fabric and mark 2-inch strips and make sure that you're going to have enough length so that it'll go around the neckline. We'll piece these together. And cut the strips out. They are quite stretchy. Now stretch the fabric and iron as you go. Join the pieces by sewing on a diagonal. Trim the excess fabric from the seam allowance and press the seam open with your fingers. Now pin the bias tape along the opening of the neckline, all the way along, stretching as you go. Sew the bias tape to the neckline at a 1/4 inch seam allowance. As you come to the seam, just press it open with your fingers and sew over it. When you get to about 3 inches from the end, just stop and backstitch, and we're going to mark the bias tape so that it'll fit exactly right. Make a mark on one piece of bias tape and on the garment, and then on the other piece of bias tape so that they match up. And then you're going to sew that seam straight down. And trim off the excess. And then stretch it along the neckline and sew that up. Now you're going to sew that seam allowance with it facing towards the bias tape, very, very close to your original seam line of sewing. Even less than 1/8 of an inch, as close as you can get without touching it. Make sure that your fabric is not wrinkled so that it gets caught under your sewing needle. Now trim the bias tape to about 1/4 of an inch. I eyeball it usually, and it should be about the same size as the seam allowance. This is the final step. You're going to take your bias tape, fold it over and fold it over again, laying it flat to the inside of your garment, and then top stitch. Again, make sure that all your fabric is nice and flat so that you don't sew any wrinkles in. And as you're pulling it down gently, it'll lay nice and flat as you sew. And just keep going around the whole neckline until you come to the beginning again. And you're all done. And you can see the inside looks nice and neat, the outside looks nice and neat, and now we'll just press it down and give it a nice finished look. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video and my others, please drop me a like and feel free to follow me.